Tonight we're going to work on Chudan uke. So if he throws a punch, you see this block from karate. Okay, Chudan is middle block. So when we're practicing this during the Kihon, we have the two exercises here and also this one. Okay, so we're going to work through some partner drills. We're going to do a push hands drill. We're going to do some grappling techniques and some striking techniques, all from this basic technique. So the first thing is, when you see this practice in a karate dojo, typically he takes a big step, and I do this, right? This kind of movement. You may see a little bit more advanced where you have two hands here, but a lot of times in the karate they're practicing very big stances and kind of long punches, and he just stands there and lets me do it. So this is a very, very basic way of practicing the punch, and it's okay to practice this way. But we want to do some more advanced stuff. First, we want to start with the drill. All he's going to do is punch, and I'm going to move to either side. Here. Punching, punch. So this is just like the Kihon where we're practicing on the back leg, and we're turning the hips here, except we're going to go both 1, 2. Here. Now, if you're beginning and you want to, or if you're having a hard time with both hands, one hand. All right? Although I don't advise doing anything with one hand, but when you're learning, trying to understand the movement. And then add the second hand. So look what the hand is already here.
Could you slow it down? I just want to see the movement of the first hand.
Okay, so 1, 2.
Okay.
And then this one comes 1, 2. And so I keep my hands up because in a situation on the street, if I have a chance to put my hands up, that's the only way I'm going to get this off. If my hands are down and he really tries to punch me and I try to bring them up and do like this, it's going to be very difficult. But if I at least have one hand up, like I see a threat here and I put a hand up and he goes to punch, I have that hand there slowly. 1, 2. And that becomes, grab, the trap later on when we do the toriko. All right, so always having two hands up and always using two hands. So the initial technique is actually this. Just a very natural thing. And then once I get that, then I can throw in the middle block. Why is this important? Which is what we talked about the other day. Off balancing. One, this very natural movement. If the ceiling were to cave in on us, we do like this, right? And we're already doing EQ all the time. And I've told you guys this before. If you make this a very natural movement, right? You get the hands up. So just two hands, throw a roundhouse punch. Right? Any kind of punch. Just getting two hands up, right? So we get used to that movement, and if I can get two hands up, I can get that punch, this movement here. What is the benefit of this one here? I can do all kinds of stuff. Understand? We're going to get into some of those things later. So the exercise then, slowly, 1, 2. 1, 2. And we're going back and forth, cat stance, just like this. Okay, go slow. For the middle block, punch can be, I say, even almost to the face, down to about here. If it's any lower than this, I'm going to have a hard time doing block unless I'm getting under, but this is a perfect place for a low block. When we talk about upper, high, middle, low blocks, we're not talking about high, middle, low parts of the body. We're talking about high, middle, and low parts of the torso. Understand? So a low block is not blocking the lower part of your body, which is your legs. You don't block down here with your arms. You block down here with your feet or by getting out of the way. So when we say low block, that is lower part of the torso, not lower part of the body. When we say middle block, that's middle part of the torso. High block is high part of the torso, well, including the head. Okay, so I didn't maybe confuse your head and your torso. We can do a middle block from a punch that's kind of a higher punch. It doesn't have to be punching here to my stomach for me to do a middle block. A lot of times you see it practiced that way. And I don't have to do a high block if the punch is to my head. I can still do a middle block here, right? So this is what we're going to do this time, except 1, 2. There's a strike of the punch. 2, 1, 2. So it's block, parry, block, strike, parry, block, strike. And look at the hands are the same. Punch, boom, boom, boom. Hands stay up. Boom, boom, boom. Hands stay up. Boom. Hands stay up. Try different targets. Solar plexus, face. Be careful. Groin, whatever. Just be careful, obviously. Okay, try. So before we get into some combination techniques, I want to go through the grappling technique that we've done before from middle block. And it's basically just the middle block, turn it over, and do a vertical punch. So here, we move to the side. You want to get the entire middle block. So don't sell this short by going here and then trying to go over. Get it all the way over and then turn the hand back. You see, so it's not here and then here. That's not far enough. You got to do the complete middle block and then go in with the vertical punch. Now what happens if he lets go and say, I don't know, tries to shoot into me? Boom, I'm already going down. If he actually comes in low, boom, he's going to get struck in the head. So the point is not for me to try to hold on to his arm. If he wants to let go, he lets go. That frees up my hand to punch and do the other blocks. But if he doesn't let go, if I trap him well enough, then I can take that arm out. And even if he's trying, I can pull back like this and drop him forward. Okay? I just like here, and then if I'm really just, so I'm going to let go here. I've got him in the lock, and I just, boom, throw the punch. I'm going to lock out that Nikyo, pop. And then the punch comes after it, and I can do one face, right? I can go solar plexus, I can go a little bit lower. I think solar plexus is best because it makes the nicest move, but I can go straight to the face. You won't get the complete Nikyo if you go for the face, but you will get some control, and you can get underneath and continue on like this, okay? So we're just going to do the basic 1, 2, and don't forget all the way here, and all the way around. And what's controlling the movement? Hips. Okay? So I'm never doing this. It's always using the hips, using the body, everything moving. Okay? No stationary stuff. What's up, Jim? Your movements will be smaller, but still got that hip movement. Okay, try that. So now we're going to use the Chudan to get into a more traditional Aikido technique. So the punch comes in, let's do this side.
Uppercut or straight punch?
No, straight punch. Here, and then I'm extending here. I'm trapping. So here's one, and then from here, I'm going to shift in and catch that elbow, and using my foot and my leg. I'm not doing this. I'm using my hips. So a punch comes in here, 1, 2. We go right down to the arm here, and then sink. Around. From here, I can actually. This is one pin that we're gonna. Well, we won't practice it too much. Some of us won't be able to, but a few times maybe if you can. This pin. What makes this pin work? Pressing into his shoulder. Can you roll out of that?
No, that's separating the shoulder.
So the punch is here, 2, boom. Again, watch the entrance. 2, see that? Other side. Here, my hands go right to here. What if he draws back? Okay, same thing. If he draws back, I just follow. So most people are not going to punch and leave their hand out like this. So watch as he draws back. I just have to follow like this and connect. And here's. Yeah. Okay. So slowly, 1, 2, connect. And then what's the skill? 2. From the ground, right? It's this exercise. He punches, boom here. I'm going to sink, right? Find my connection, and then press up against the ground. Now, when I go down all the way to the ground, I'm going to move out to the side. That takes every bit of his strength away from me. Okay? Questions? Little faster. So here, just like that. Other side, here. So you can pull it off. I didn't go all the way to the ground there because it's kind of rough, but it can work at a pretty fast pace. Okay, try. So it comes in with a punch. I'm going to move over to the side, right? And I'm kind of doing the same thing I just did, dropping his hands down, but I'm not going to turn out this time. I'm going to go into him. Boom. So this may end the fight here. If that doesn't, this might end the fight. If that doesn't, I have this control. And I didn't take it to the ground, but it's very easy. So here, move in, striking here, catching in here. Now, let's talk about this technique here. You see a lot of guys who get into this position and try to control him like this, but if he stands up, right, I can't even keep him with two hands. However, if I get to here with my arm all the way inserted like that, not here, I see this all the time, but here, now he tries to stand up. And why? Because everything I have is locked in. I'm extending and I'm also connecting. You see my feet? You can see the force from my feet because oh, sorry.
No, I'm just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just tapping.
Yeah.
All right, so punching slowly.
This one?
Yeah, this one. Here, and then I have both hands up like before. I'm going to come in with an atemi. Boom. I'm going to trap here. I'm going to come in with a knee strike atemi. Now I have this. Right. From here, I'm going to go slowly to the ground. Take it to the ground if I want. Okay. I can submit this way if I want. I had someone on the internet tell me this is not a submission. That's for you. I also don't have to do the submission. I can just punch him in the back of the head and go home. One. Or throw him down and stomp me. So that's the other thing about this technique. 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. And here, now, I'm just going to go, step up. I'm just going to go, boom. Right? What happens? Face hits the ground. There's no sutami, no fancy jumping. Face hits the ground. So that's the thing about kaitanage. In the dojo, yeah, it looks lovely, but in the street, face smashes the ground. That's an awful thing to happen. But that's what we're doing. So here, boom, boom. I've already smashed his face with my elbow once. I'm going to come in here, and then boom. So here is the control. Not here. Stand up. Now stand up. What's the difference? Here. Okay. First time, no center. Second time, I had the center, but it wasn't deep enough. Right? It's not until we have him in the center and I have the all the way in, and then he stands up, and now I have him control. How do we get into that? It starts here, boom, and moving in, right? Watch this side. 2, 3. This hand is here, boom. This hand strikes and goes right into the head. Everything stays close. Nothing goes wide or loose or not too many movements. 3, boom, boom, right into it. See that? Watch this punch. 1, 2, 3. Here, this is the punch, right? And then, boom. Right to the control. Right to the control. Always with full control of his balance and having your center. This is 1 point, right? Have connection to the ground, everything. If you can get into that position, you don't have to go all the way to the ground. But you can practice. Now, here's the way you practice it. All fancy. Punch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then. But you don't have to do that. If, I will say this though, slowly, 1, 2, 3. If I get him like this, right, and I get the right angle, he's gonna flip. Because if he doesn't, it takes his shoulder out of whack. So you can face plant him like this. Or you can, 1, 2, 3, come out a little bit wider and make a bigger circle like this. Make sure the arm goes across here. You don't just go up with the arm like this It needs to go across to the other shoulder. The head comes this way. Ooh. Both of those are options. The second one, it looks more dynamic than the first one, but it's actually safer. Because the first one, like I said, your face is going to hit the ground. Okay, punch. So here, and we're just going to move in. So same side. If he steps on the other foot, it's a different technique. So it's kind of like a kokinage, but it's also kind of like a ashibura. And I believe that ashibura, he did it again. I believe that ashibura is more effective than just the kotegashi, or just the kokinage alone, because look. If I try to do ashibura like this, right? It's about ma'ai, and it's about taking his balance. Here, I come in. As opposed to, right? I'm not doing that. I'm not taking his leg out. I'm slipping his leg. You hear that? Caught my foot on the neck. Still work though. Because once I get in deep, I'm here. Now he may be trying to do something, right? Move his arm, whatever. But if I get in there and take control of him, especially if I'm doing it fast, he's going to go down. So, one, stepping in, up, and through. See that? See where my center is going into him. You can do it. If you can do it slow, you can do it fast. So here, I'm going through his center. I'm not going through his leg. I'm going through his center. That's the difference between a bad ashiburai and a good ashiburai. Ashiburai is sweeping. Ashi is leg. Okay, leg sweep. Ashiburai. Sometimes this is called geidan barai instead of geidan uke because it's a sweeping block. So barai means sweeping block. Okay, so ashiburai, leg,